Caitlin Clark's teammate drops 7-word admission over Indiana Fever's WNBA future. It's been just over a week since the Fever's 2025 season came to a close with a Game 5 loss to the Las Vegas Aces in the semifinals. Sure, coming one game short of the final stings, but considering all the adversity and 5 season-ending injuries, including Caitlin Clark, making it that far felt like a win in itself. A big part of why they hung tough was the locker room culture, where no one ever quit on each other. Well, Aaliyah Boston has had time to reflect on the season and what the future holds. During the October 8th episode of Post Moves, the two hosts discussed the Fever's outlook. Candace Parker noted, because when the Fever stars adding healthy players back next season, and Boston jumped in, finishing the thought, we're going to be on a roll. We're going to be on a roll. So, 2026 is already shaping up to be an exciting one, since players will return healthier. I will say that sometimes being without allows other players to show what they're capable of the next year and having more. Parker further said on Post Moves with Aaliyah Boston. However, the offseason comes with its own uncertainties. With CBA negotiations looming and many veterans across the league exploring free agency, the Indiana Fever roster could look very different in 2026. As of now, the Fever have only 3 players under contract: Clark, Boston, and Michaela Timpson. And of course, Coach Stephanie White. Now, there are 2 ways to approach this. Look at it as a challenge to build or as a reason to sulk. Boston is firmly choosing the first path. Parker summed it up. So, this is going to be an exciting offseason, and Boston's enthusiasm was clear. It's going to be a great offseason. Fever will need to decide on who to core, and Kelsey Mitchell seems to be a lock, assuming the new collective bargaining agreement doesn't change core eligibility rules. I'm going to sound like a broken record from last year. The priority will be Kelsey Mitchell and making sure she remains in a Fever jersey, Fever GM Amber Cox said. Mitchell signed a core qualifying offer before the 2025 season, earning the Supermax salary of $249,244. Indiana can core Mitchell again in 2026, which would give them exclusive negotiating rights. Sure, she could leave like Alyssa Thomas and Sada Sabali did after being cored, but let's be real. Mitchell stuck with this team through its roughest years, so she's probably staying put. The rest of the roster is less certain. Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, Ari McDonald, Odyssey Sims, and others who helped the Fever reach the playoffs could face big changes, especially with Toronto Tempo and Portland Fire entering the league. Hull, after 4 years on her rookie deal, becomes a restricted free agent in 2026. That means she can talk to other teams, but the Fever has the right to match any offer. Chloe Bibby, with under 3 years of service, will be a reserved free agent, meaning she can negotiate with the Fever for more than the league minimum, but not with other teams. Meanwhile, Natasha Howard, Damaris Dantas, Sydney Colson, and Ari McDonald will all be unrestricted free agents. Colson faces an ACL recovery, which could sideline her for much of the 2026 season. Bree Hall, currently on a hardship contract, would also become unrestricted in 2026, though if she were on a standard deal, she would be reserved like Bibby. Sophie Cunningham, however, an unrestricted free agent heading into the 2026 season, has already announced she will be listening to offers from other teams. Boston embraced new faces this season, and she will likely have to do the same in the next. However, the Fever will retain their big 3. And as per Ryan Ruocco and Sue Bird, they should extend a lifetime contract to Stephanie White while they are at it. With Stephanie White, all is possible. The Indiana Fever battled their way into the 2025 playoffs, surprising many with a first-round upset and taking the Las Vegas Aces all the way to a decisive Game 5 in the semifinals. Even when Kelsey Mitchell left mid-game with crippling cramps and Aaliyah Boston fouled out, the team refused to fold, pushing the game into overtime before ultimately falling 107-98. Their grit and determination didn't go unnoticed and earned Stephanie White her flowers from many. I mean, they were so impressive, Ryan Ruocco said on Sue Bird's podcast. We got to remember, this team went 7 years without making the playoffs. And they had Kelsey Mitchell for a good chunk of those years. For one of those years, they had Aaliyah Boston, and they had Kelsey Mitchell. Last year, they get Caitlin, and especially that second half of the year, things just come together. Everything just works with those 3. So if you would have said to anyone, hey, Caitlin's going to only play 13 games, I think they would have said, this team isn't going to make the playoffs. They'll be lucky if they're sniffing the playoffs. Never mind be able to make a run to the semifinals. And Ruocco thinks a large part of the praise needs to go to Coach White. The Indiana Fever should go tell Steph White, "We'll sign you to a lifetime contract right now." The fact that they were in that series, when you look at the rosters and who was on the floor, it's an amazing accomplishment that they were able to push that to Game 5, he added, and Bird agreed. "That's something not every coach possesses," said the WNBA legend. So, yes, as Boston said, they are going to be on a roll in 2026, and every other team better watch out. The Indiana Fever's locker room has always been filled with energy, hope, and an unspoken determination to rewrite the franchise's story. But after a whirlwind season that saw record-breaking viewership, emotional highs, and tough playoff heartbreak, one of Caitlin Clark's teammates dropped a simple 7-word admission that summed up everything about the team's future. "We're not done. This is just beginning." Those 7 words echoed louder than any post-game speech, louder than any highlight reel. They spoke of belief, a belief forged in the chaos of adversity, under the bright lights of a league suddenly transformed by the arrival of a generational talent. The Caitlin Clark effect. When Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, the Fever were a team searching for identity. Once a proud franchise with championship pedigree, they had spent years rebuilding, trying to find the right combination of talent and chemistry to rise again. Then came Clark, fearless, fiery, and unapologetically herself. From her first preseason game, she electrified crowds and changed how fans saw women's basketball. Suddenly, Fever jerseys were everywhere. Ticket sales soared. Every arena the team visited felt like a home game. But inside the team, the real transformation wasn't just about stardom, it was about belief. Caitlin brought more than deep threes and dazzling assists. She brought accountability and a demand for excellence. Her teammates, from veterans like Kelsey Mitchell to rookies still finding their voice, felt her intensity daily. Practices became sharper. Conversations more direct. The Fever, once comfortable with moral victories, started to expect real ones.